Welcome to Porcelain Peak, a strange and scary podcast dissecting all things horror and sci-fi. Here are your hosts, or what's left of them, Tone, John, and Anthony. Enjoy the trivia while you can.
Welcome back to Season 4 of Porcelain Peak.
What's up, you guys? What's up, dogs? What's up?
Creature Camp. Creature Camp. This week, we're going to show you some news about some new Halloween candy.
Yeah.
Not to be confused with Halloween the movie candy.
Of course you would take the food candy news.
Yeah, I picked it. I handpicked it.
Yeah.
And threw it in my fucking mouth. Yeah, absorbed it like the blob I am. Then we're going to play trivia. Then for our main discussion, we are talking about the beast from 20,000 Fathoms.
The beast from hella deep.
And the host from 2006 by Bong Joon-ho. Is that correct?
Bong Joon-ho.
Bong Joon-ho. There we go. Thank you. I'll fix it when we get there. And then for our final cut, we are finishing up Stranger Things. We watched all of part 2, which is episodes 8 and 9. We broke our own binge.
Yeah, we had a real crisis the night after watching the second to last episode where we were like, okay,
fuck.
we need to just get this over with, and we need to watch the last one.
It's hard because the second to last episode is almost all set up.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't feel like I got...
And that's how I figured it would be, and how I envisioned it as like a 2-part finale, which is why I was like, okay, like I think we really need to watch the last episode. So get ready for that. Hold on to your butts.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and get started right meow.
Why don't you take an axe and chop it open?
Hey guys, let's chop it up, huh? John, how are you?
I'm pretty good. How about you?
Pretty good. You're getting into like a little Nicky territory.
Oh, that's that cockroach, Tony Montana.
Glad you're doing good, Anthony.
Yeah, I'm doing swell. I am excited that after having pretty much 2 weeks between recording with each other, we got to record with each other like 2 days apart.
Yep.
So that was nice. Unfortunately, that means there's not a lot of news to talk about.
That's all right.
But we got
Hit us
the
with
most
that candy stuff.
exciting news, which is Halloween candy news. I was scrolling through Twitter today, and I saw lots of people getting excited about new ghoulish green candy products, specifically Snickers and Twix. Twix are going to have a like basically Goosebumps ooze green cookie inside of them for Halloween, and I don't know how they're going to greenify the Snickers, but look into that. I know you're a candy hunter by trade, so I wanted to let you know about these things so that you can get prepared.
By trade. Actually, John's wife, Miss Jig, sent me a picture, Mrs., I guess, sent me a picture of 3 different Kit Kats.
Oh, yeah?
Now, we haven't tried, so I might have to do some more Kit Kat.
Yeah, so I will let you know, his new dealer, his new supplier will likely be the Cost Plus World Market, where they have a ton of the other stuff.
Don't be giving out trade
People are
secrets,
legit.
bro. Most people who listen probably don't even have one of those around them. But
Tell them the blob sent you.
outside of that, I don't know if we talked about this. I know it came up on one of our trivia things that we did at one point, but Fruit Brute, the long maligned Halloween
werewolf.
cereal, the werewolf, is coming back this year. Going to be along with the whole rest of the collection, the Count Choculas, the Boo Berries, the Frankenberries, and the Fruit Brute.
Yummy Mummy.
Yummy Mummy?
Yeah.
Is that coming back too?
I don't know.
I don't know.
But you said everybody.
Well, I saw a box that looked like it had all the folks on it, but much like the Universal Studios Mummy movie, I usually leave that one out because it's boring.
And Monster Mash when they all mix.
What is the Yummy Mummy? I did see that. Yeah, that's what I thought it was the box of the Monster Mash, and it said like Monster Mash on it. But so what does the Yummy Mummy taste like? Is it like dusty? Like it tastes like gauze? Yeah.
Yeah, the cereal's already... It's just all the crumbs at the bottom of a bag, and they just fill them up into one bag.
And there's just a hint of Brendan Fraser's nutsack sweat.
You open up this box of dust and you pour it out, and just like the emo tap face comes out. Like,
yeah.
A couple of scarabs pop out.
I say we get them all and we try them all.
Yeah.
And then we have a stomachache.
and then we can all crunch and gnash that cereal right into the microphone.
We can do like
people
one
love.
box, 1 or 2 boxes a week.
Oh, we'll do Monster Mash ASMR. Look
There you
forward to that in October.
Season 5 shit.
Season 5 shit. Outside of that, not a lot of these stories are super exciting, so I'm going to kind of breeze through them. Did we all watch One Cut of the Dead? I watched One Cut of the Dead.
You
I
have
did
watched
not.
it. We have not watched it.
So One Cut of the Dead is a very, very awesome, I believe, Japanese zombie film that's super meta, really cool. I think it's on Shudder, or it was on Shudder. Well, there is a French remake called Final Cut that is in production. At first I was like, of course, just another, got to make a remake of whatever it is. You can't just leave the movie alone. But I was reading about this French remake, and apparently they incorporate the fact that this is a remake of the Japanese movie into the narrative of the French movie.
They're turning it into a movie centipede.
Yeah, so they're basically because one of the producers wants them to go directly off of the Japanese script, and they're having an argument about it in the movie apparently, and so
it's almost like a pseudo sequel.
Yeah. So
Weird.
now I'm actually interested in checking it out.
We should try to see more other remakes. Maybe we could do that for a week because that sounds cool. And then I think someone remade Cube.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was Japan or
I think it might be. Yeah, I saw that on Twitter recently too, and I was like, oh shit, yeah, I want to check that out.
Maybe for Terror Tales next season, we
Maybe.
do a little remakes week.
Ooh, yeah,
foreign
I like that.
remakes.
Yeah.
Of U.S. properties.
Speaking of remakes of foreign properties, that Last Train to New York or whatever, I think got pushed back another year. So
Push it back into the abyss because I don't
push it back forever.
I don't want to know. I don't want to know a cast. I don't want to know who's in it. I don't want to know when it gets released. I just want it to go away.
Yeah.
Go watch Train to Busan instead. It's
Yeah.
just it will be better than whatever is released.
Or if you're looking for
guarantee
other
it.
train movies, Snowpiercer.
Yeah.
And now Bullet Train.
Back to more Bong Joon-ho.
There you go.
He directed
Strangers on a Train, which we've also covered.
Train, yep.
But yeah, speaking of things that we don't really care about coming out, Monsters is coming out this fall on Netflix. I thought originally it was going to be a Hulu movie or a Paramount movie, but apparently Netflix swooped it up. So both The Monsters and Addams Family are going to be dropping this fall on Netflix. So
I doubled
Weird.
down.
Now they just need to be in the background, not telling anybody, secretly planning a Monsters Meet the Addams Family. Because if they pulled that off, I think everybody would just be like, okay, we're cool with whatever you just did.
Can pull me off.
more cinematic
Like a
universe
hammer.
is exactly what we need. Apparently, the Mandalorian Season 3 trailer leaked from whatever big event they just had. I think, I don't know, D
Three.
nuts or whatever.
It's usually D23.
yeah.
D3.
So not much. This was I didn't watch the trailer because it was some dude filming from the corner
Yeah,
of
who
the
wants to watch it in that quality?
But from what I read from the brief little plot synopsis, it looks like this season is mostly going to focus on who's going to sit on the throne of Mandalore and go more into the actual planet and the culture of Mandalore. So that sounds very interesting to me, and I'm excited about that.
More plot based instead of Monster of the Week shit.
Yeah. This is not really horror related, but we covered The Green Knight, and we like David Lowery. His next movie, The Oakthorn and the Old Rose of Love, is now in production and is apparently supposed to be some sort of spiritual sequel to The Green Knight.
Okay.
So, and is being shot by the entire same team of cinematographers and everything. So if you liked at least the way The Green Knight looked, which I can say, definitely, absolutely, one of the more gorgeous movies I've seen recently. Don't remember what the fuck it was about, but it looked amazing, and I'm sure this one will too.
Hey, I remember somebody busted a nut on a rag.
Yeah, that's I think the only thing anybody remembers about that movie, The Green Nut, and
This Halloween.
yeah,
That's how they're going to change the stickers.
I like that. And then the last bit of news that I have, something that we do actually care about, Dune Part 2 has officially started production.
Hell yeah, bro.
So that's all coming together, and we are actually going to hopefully get that movie, unless we end up in another pandemic. Knock on wood. Yeah, so that's all I have for news. Not a ton, since we just recorded 2 days ago, but I'm sure something really crazy and exciting will drop in news tomorrow, and we'll be
If
like,
not
well,
tonight.
shucks. Yeah.
I wanted to drop some prep work. You can expect a couple of things to come at your way, either through Patreon chat or through the Instagram or through these specific things. So keep an eye out for it. The end of this season, which will be coming up at the end of August, will be the second annual Todd Browning Awards. So expect to see ballots coming out your way. We'll probably, within the next couple of episodes, we'll talk about the nominees. We'll go through that whole process with you so that way you can vote. and that way we have everything ready to go.
You don't have to remind me. I completely remember. I haven't at all forgotten what the Todd Browning Awards are. But for the audience, can you remind everyone what those are?
So the Todd Browning Awards are Porcelain Peak's fan-voted awards that we do starting last year, every year. Basically where we take everything that we watched over the course of the season and we give you options as far as like what the best kill was, what the best sci-fi film was, what the best horror film was, acting performances. We broke everything down, and like I said, we'll send that all your way. We'll probably have to take a look at our previous year's ballot and kind of get an idea what the categories were, and then, like I said, we'll get everybody out there voting because it was a whole lot of fun last year.
Yeah, I think maybe we'll expand it to shows if we didn't last year.
I think we just did horror property, sci-fi property, so the shows were mixed in.
Perfect.
So probably should...
Yeah, because I think the Mandalorian was on there at some point.
Yeah.
And some other stuff. But and I think we probably have like, I don't know, maybe like 1,000 more followers on Instagram or something crazy since the last year that we did this. So
Plus, we also have a new format.
Yeah, so I'm sure we'll get lots of votes for that, and I'm excited for it. Totally forgot. The year flies by. The years start coming and they don't stop coming, as Smash Mouth
Don't stop coming and they
once
don't
said.
stop coming.
Also,
Coming and they don't stop coming.
Terror Tunes Volume 4 will be coming out in October. So prepare yourself for that. And if you have any suggestions, if you've listened to the previous 3 playlists that we've put out for Halloween, send us on Instagram or to porcelainpeak@gmail.com. Send us your ideas or songs that you'd like to see on that playlist.
Yeah,
If you're... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, if you're wondering why John is talking about Terror Tunes like several months before it's going to come out, he works on it. As soon as the last one comes out, he starts working on the next one. So he's been thinking about this for a very long time. So please, when it comes out, fucking listen to it. Listen to them all. They're great. I don't know how he does it every year. I have nothing to do with it. I never send any songs to help you out. So
That's not true.
No, usually I'll put a song, like I'll see a song and I'll be in the car or I'll be like about to get in the shower and I'll be like, I'll send that to John later. And then space.
Yeah, so if you don't know what Terror Tunes is, that is our annual Halloween-esque playlist where we put spooky songs together, 31 of them.
Yeah, and one of these years we'll start our own roller rink and we'll play all of those during Halloween time.
Yeah.
And so
and we'll call the roller rink Ice 9 Kills. Come on, we're gonna move into trivia.
That Christmas house of wax, the fog, piranha. It's one of those, right?
We're playing.
We're talking about trivia. Talking about my triv. My triv.
Is that you asking for a trivia tune?
Yeah, that's how I'm going to start doing it now because I can't come up with like good intros for you. So I'm just going to sing to you and then I want you to serenade back to me.
All right.
You could also just open the segment just by singing.
No, he likes that we have to kind of like.
Don't forget to come to
like, we're just like, I don't know.
Do I have a song this week?
Tune in to find out. Your trivia tune this week is Trivia.
Is it
Master of
Metallica?
Puppets?
Master of Puppets by Metallica.
Teamwork.
Oh, jinx! Jinx, you can't win.
We just suddenly like fuse into one like horrible monster person.
Yeah.
I'd
We
like
have
that.
to do the fucking...
Only way that I can break the fusion dance is by winning trivia with both of your brains involved.
We'll find out. Here we go. We're playing Pass Popcorn. It is all genre.
Also my least favorite game now.
Sorry to hear that, man. If
I
we
keep
read
losing.
a year and a genre and the person rips it, then they can get 5 points. Any clue after that is 1 less point, and I will be keeping track right here.
Oh, I need to look at these so I can go. He's not going to get these or oh, fuck.
John is on a 2-peak streak. What's your longest streak? Do you know?
It's 4 at the max, but it's likely 3.
All right. Well, let's see what you got here. You got a 1990 comedy.
90 comedy. Go ahead and give me the quote, please.
Ma'am, I'm 8 years old. Did you think I'd be here alone? I don't think so.
That's going to be Home Alone.
That is
Wow,
correct.
and you really had to put the Culkin on it when you read it, didn't you?
I
That
did.
was definitely the Culkin, the
trying.
attitude right there.
Thank you. 4 points for John.
I'll take it. And then you have a 1997 comedy film.
Okay, give me the first clue, please, and make sure you put the Culkin on it.
Yeah, baby. Yeah.
Is that the quote?
That is the quote. But that was with the Culkin on it. If you would like me to, I can give it you the way that it should be read.
Okay,
Yeah, baby. Yeah.
thank you. It's a completely different situation.
Holy shit. I won't give you props for your Culkin, but that character was spot on.
Is it
Just in case.
So does the card just say Austin Powers, or does it want the full title? Of...
It just says Austin Powers. But
Okay.
if
Is
you,
it International Man of
it
Mystery?
would be International Man of Mystery is the full title.
Cool.
Right on. Groovy, baby.
That'll make you Randy. All right, Tone. I think this is going to be a tough one for you. Yeah, we always know. Oh, it's going to be so hard. You have a 1968 sci-fi film. Oh, and by the way, now that these videos are going out to like my Facebook and like getting seen by my mom, my grandma and stuff, I'm just like, well, I can't dial it back now. We're in season 4, so I'm just like,
You're like only going up from here, baby.
yeah, I'm like, family, this is me, unfiltered.
Your mom's going to be like, is there anything you need to talk about?
No, her comment on the most recent post was like, she was like, oh, it's Spider Week. Ooh. And then she was like, love it, love it.
I'll go ahead and take a quote.
Your quote is
You said 68 sci-fi?
68 Siffy. Your quote is, take your stinking paws off of me, you damn dirty ape.
Planet of the Apes.
It is Planet of the Apes.
Woo! Of
Rise
course I
of
got
the
a Planet
War
Apes.
for the dawn of the...
All right, that puts us all at 4. And we're moving into round 2. John, you have a 2001 comedy.
You said 2001 comedy?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead and give me the quote, please.
This is an occasion for genuinely tiny knickers.
...2001 comedy.
Interesting. Okay. I haven't seen this one, so... But you don't know what's in my brain.
Go ahead and give me the cast, please.
All right. Huge Rant and Renee Zellweger. Hugh Grant.
So this is...
Oh, is that Huge Jacked Man?
Huge Jack Man. Huge Rat.
Bridget Jones' Diary?
That is correct for 3 points. Good job, John.
Is that a sequel or a prequel to The Princess Diaries?
Neither.
Okay.
Bridget Jones' Diary, Bridget Jones' Edge of Reason, and Bridget Jones' Baby.
Oh, okay. I did not know that at all. Didn't even know that movie had 2 sequels.
There you go.
Bridget Jones' Edge of Tomorrow.
Bridget Jones' Edge of Tomorrow. Repeat.
And then you have a 2005 fantasy film.
Okay. All right. Give me that clue, please.
All right, I said. Okay, check
It
it
wasn't the airplanes. It was Beauty killed the Beast.
That our Lord and Savior King Kong.
Kingus Kongus? Yes, it was.
It is the Kingus Kongus. What year was that one?
05.
Okay, so it's the Lord of the Rings man.
The Peter Dinklage.
Jackson. Peter Jack man.
Say Dinklage?
I did say Dinklage.
All right. Town, you got a 1982 sci-fi film. This one's going to be a toughie for you.
Okay, go ahead,
I tell you what.
go ahead and give me the quote.
I tell you.
The quote is, phone home.
Was it deep? It's definitely some kind of Star Wars, but which one? E.T. Extraterrestrial.
It is E.T. the Extraterrestrial.
All right, John. Unfortunately, you have taken a early fall behind.
Hey, but don't let that get you down.
You're at 7. We're at 8, and you have a 2007 fantasy.
Go ahead and give me the quote, please.
So many worlds, but connecting them all is dust.
The cleaning lady. She dusts. Oh, okay. I have seen this one. If that helps you out at all.
Does it?
No. No, it doesn't.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
You've got some cool, like, giallo lighting on you right now because of the green coming off of the...
I don't think and of course, only you can see that. It doesn't. It
Yeah,
adds
but
no
to me,
value.
it makes your thought process look really intense. Like, if you don't get this one, you're going to be stabbed by Mr. Knife Hands.
I'm already behind.
But, I mean, in this game, it doesn't necessarily matter. I mean, you know what his cards hold.
Yes. Go ahead and read me the quote one more time.
So many worlds, but connecting them all is dust.
Is it Stardust?
That is incorrect. It is the Golden Compass.
I've never seen the Golden Compass. I heard it was awful. And
So before
chose
I
to
saw
steer
what
clear.
it was, Stardust was my first thought too.
Yeah, because I also have never seen that.
Yeah, all I know is that Charlie Cox is in it. Daredevil.
Daredevil. And then you have a 1988 action film.
Okay, give me that first clue, please.
9 million terrorists in the world, and I gotta kill one with feet smaller than my sister.
What year was this?
1988.
That is tough.
And what was the genre?
Action. Click.
Is it Die Hard?
It is indeed Die Hard.
Nice, dude.
I was trying to remember what scene that was from, and I think it's because he tries to put on another one of the terrorist shoes because he's walking around barefoot on all the glass. Anywho, is that a Christmas movie or not? Chuck just covered it on his show, Christmas in July. Look forward to our yet to be announced, I think, episode with him. Anywho,
And his brother.
yeah, I don't want to give it away if his timeline doesn't match up with ours. He is on the East Coast after all.
And we don't want to
And-
start a grandfather paradox.
And his is the darkest timeline.
Yeah. Tone, you have a 2000 drama.
All right, go ahead and give me a quote, sir. Please.
If there is a war on drugs, then many of our family members are the enemy.
Oof.
What year did you say it was?
2000?
2000 drama.
Many of our family. I don't know. Go ahead and give me the cast.
The cast is Michael Douglas and Benicio del Toro.
They were in a movie together?
That's always the worst moment when you're
Yep.
like, fuck, what? I can't even think of these people together.
Fuck. Michael Douglas?
Michael Douglas, the Ant-Man himself,
Damn it.
and Benicio del Toro, the collector himself.
All right, I guess go ahead and give me the characters. Characters is the fucking worst.
Yeah. Characters are Judge Robert Wakefield and Police Officer Javier Rodriguez.
Well, I wonder who's who. You like that one or no? Yeah.
Michael Douglas. Hi, I'm Police Officer Javier Rodriguez.
Fuck, man. All right, go ahead and give me the story.
The story is a conservative judge must face his own daughter's addiction to heroin.
I just wasted all of our times. I don't know. Go ahead. I'll pass.
The movie is Traffic, which I have never seen, so I would
Oh.
not have gotten it either.
All right. Well, Anthony takes early lead, a midway lead, I guess. And you have 12, sir. John, you
Tentative.
have 7, and I'm still sitting at 8.
Fuck it up, fuck it up.
Your next one,
Back it up,
John,
back
is
it
a
up.
2003 comedy.
Quote me, please.
God of Rock, thank you for this chance to kick ass. We are your humble servants.
Would that be School of Rock?
That is correct, sir, for 4 points.
It's a very, very good movie. A movie that is better than it has any right to be.
That's Linklater, right?
It indeed is indeed Richard Linklater.
Cool. Hit me with it.
Anthony, you have a 1986 war film.
Oh, fuck.
Damn. I hope this is the war that I have always been obsessed with.
The War for the Planet of the Apes.
Well, because every man has a war that they're obsessed with, you know. For some, it's the Civil War. Mm-hmm. For some, it's the Planet of the Apes War.
Yes.
I don't know why I'm looking at this card like it's going to help me. Give me the first clue, please.
Somebody once wrote, "Hell is the impossibility of reason. That's what this place feels like. Hell." Like, that could literally be any war movie, dude.
That's every war. War is bad. Give me the next clue, please.
Okay.
Your actors are Charlie Sheen and Willem Dafoe.
Is this Platoon?
It is indeed Platoon.
Oh, it was?
Yeah,
Oh, I was thinking something else. Nice. You get 3 points?
he did get 3 points.
Woo. Never seen Platoon, but I knew that they were in it.
Who's in Apocalypse Now?
Marlon Brando and Martin Sheen.
Oh. One of the Sheens, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
The Sheens like their war films. Tone, you have a 2004 drama film.
right.
You'll be fine.
Can I get a quote?
The quote is, I live here in Terminal, Gate 67, day and night. It's home. Like you, they tell me to wait, so I wait.
I need a chance, Lance.
Come on, baby.
The Terminal.
It is the Terminal.
Come on.
That's why I said you probably wouldn't have a hard time, because it literally says, I live here in Terminal.
All right. John, you're sitting at 11. Anthony's at 15, and I am at 12. Still anyone's game.
Yep.
You have a 1997 sci-fi film, John.
97 sci-fi?
Mm-hmm.
Siffy.
Quote me, please.
I want you on the next transport off this rock, or I'm going to shoot you where it don't grow back.
I think I guessed this a couple of weeks ago for a different one, and it is Men in Black.
That is correct. Good job.
More sugar.
Anthony, you have a 1967 drama film.
Man.
Okay. Let's see how well I remember the 60s.
Did you have a colt?
Oh, it was the 60s.
Everybody had a cult.
Go to patreon.com/Porcelain Peak. Check out Umbrella Academy, the show, and our episodes. Again, I'm looking at the card like this is going to help me. Give me the first clue, please.
Mrs. Robinson, you're trying to seduce me, aren't you?
For some reason, I thought you were going to say, Mrs. Robinson, tear down this wall. That is The Graduate.
It is indeed The Graduate.
With Dustin Hoffman. Mm-hmm. Very good movie, which they parody in
Parody's
Wayne's
nuts.
World when he. Yeah. Anywho, Tone, you have a 1946 drama.
Oh, fuck, man. All right. Go ahead and give me a quote, please.
Your quote is, "Thanks for the wings, love Clarence. That's a Christmas present from a very dear friend of mine." If I read it in the voice, it would immediately give it away.
Is it Jimmy Stewart?
I'm not going to say anything.
What's the year and the...
1946 drama.
Do the quote again.
The quote is, "Thanks for the wings,
thanks
love
for the
Clarence. That's a Christmas present from a very dear friend of mine."
It's a Wonderful Life.
It is. It's a Wonderful Life. Thanks for the wings, love Clarence.
That's my favorite impression that we've collectively done.
We never give each other shit for that one, but anytime I break out Morgan Freeman, it's like, "You're terrible. We hate you."
Because the Jimmy Stewart one, you're actually trying. The Morgan Freeman one, you're just going,
Clarence.
I walked through shit.
Andy Dufresne.
At least you can say things as Jimmy Stewart.
I have to turn off the computer, Batman.
Okay, that's me. 15 points for John, 19 points for Anthony, and 16 points for me. This is the last round, John.
So this is a toughie for you.
You gotta rip it to even stand a chance. I guess you could tie it. Anyway, you got 2004 drama.
I'm going to have to take a quote.
Okay. Peter, I was hoping to use your name for one of the characters in my next play.
Remember liking this one. I haven't seen it in a long time though.
If I don't guess here, then I'm already out. So I'm just gonna say, is it Shakespeare in Love?
It is Finding Neverland.
Because it's about, what's his name? Is it J.M. Barrie?
Jamboree?
Pan?
Played by Donald Depp
Donald Depp.
with Freddie Highmore.
And is it Kate Winslet in it too?
Think so.
Yes.
Can confirm.
I think if I'd have waited it, I probably would have gotten there. That sucks. Anthony, from the same year, a comedy film.
2004.
2004
Okay, I was gonna say, you have to remind me.
comedy.
2004 comedy. Okay, give me that first clue, please.
Make it tough.
There isn't a tough for this one. I'm sorry. I'm in a glass case of emotion.
Damn it. Oh, come on. Fuck it up.
Is this Anchorman?
It is indeed Anchorman.
Oh, nice.
I was like, please, for the love of God, don't get this mixed up with like Step Brothers or some other Will Ferrell bullshit.
Hit him with that pity quitch.
I can't win?
Oh yeah, you're way out.
Aww.
Well, I still want to see if you can get this. It'll be interesting.
Yeah,
really like
I would
this
need
movie,
7 points to die.
You're like, I need this card plus at least 2 to 3 points.
Damn, bro.
If you rip it on just the year and the date, I'll give you bonus points. We can go for a tiebreaker round.
You lie.
1999 drama.
You lie? I don't know. Go ahead and give me that.
Your quote is, "We might be through with the past, but the past ain't through with us."
A drama?
Mm-hmm.
Nothing. Give me cast.
Your cast is Thomas Mapother Cruz III and Philip, I'm going to find her, I'm going to hurt her, Seymour Hoffman.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
Mission Impossible 3?
Ooh, no, it is Magnolia.
Oh!
By Paul Thomas Anderson.
That makes sense. Oh, I didn't know. What's his notes was in that? Whatever. I don't know.
Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Yeah. Wow. Well, hey, you broke your illusion streak.
Hella sweaty.
It's all good. Yeah.
He's like, you're just like,
I'm gonna ring these out. Nice job, bud.
Thanks. Yeah.
It's been a while.
Now fingers are crossed for a streak because I haven't had one in a long, long time. Can't even remember. It's been 84 long years,
It's been a while, yeah.
as old Kate Winslet once said.
I think that you have the longest winning streak this season and the longest losing streak this season.
You know, I'm a man of many dimensions. You know?
Yeah, you just
I'm like an ogre in that way. Ogres have layers, onions have layers.
You wanted to be the best in both worlds.
I'm Hannah Montana that way.
That's what I've always thought of you as.
Thanks.
Anyway, a little blonde girl. We're moving on to ads and shit, right? Coming at you.
Adobots, roll out.
Head on over to patreon.com/porcelainpeak for hours and hours of additional content, merch, and more. For $5 a month you get access to our weekly trivia bonus episodes, where we write each other new quizzes for every episode. For $10 you get access to our monthly /Terpiece theater commentary tracks, where we crack wise over the top of movies for your enjoyment, alongside a monthly print designed by Anthony Silva. For $20 you can join our producer tier, where you will get early access to our episodes, a t-shirt every 6 months, and the ability to help us come up with ideas for future episodes. All versions of the episode are provided ad-free on Patreon. Again, that's patreon.com/porcelainpeak to help support the show.
Head on over to porcelainpeakshop.com and purchase some merch to help support the show, or purchase our Horror is for Everyone shirt to support new causes every month. This month we are donating all proceeds from this shirt to GLSEN because we believe that all students deserve to learn in an environment free from bigoted pieces of shit. Share a picture with your merch on Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook and we will give you a shout out on a future episode. Again, that's porcelainpeakshop.com to help support the show and look fly as hell in the process. Thanks to everyone for watching. Now back to Tone, John, and Anthony.
Hey, you want to see something really scary?
Yes. Giant ants. That was last week. This week, we're talking about...
Here we
Giant
go.
monster.
For our final episode of Creature Camp, we are talking about the Beast from 20,000 Fathoms. I kept telling my TV, Beast
20,000 leagues.
20,000 Phantoms.
Oh, okay.
Like, what are you, stupid? And then my Siri was like, yes.
They don't build theaters that below underwater.
And we're talking about the 2006 The Host. But we're going to start with The Beast. I think we just call it The Beast, right?
The Beast from 20,000
Yes.
Fathoms.
So-
which scientifically don't make no sense. There's no place in the ocean that is even remotely that deep. Read today.
Know of.
Yeah, that's true. Challenger Deep in the Mariana Trench is only like 38,000 feet deep.
How much is a fathom?
And 20,000 fathoms is something like 200,000 feet deep. So
That's pretty deep.
Is that like all the way across the planet?
Also, though, it's frozen in ice cap, so it's actually no fathoms.
Yeah, I was kind of confused by that. So I would say that the premise of this movie, because this is what I
You want to do background real quick?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Directed by Eugene Laurie, written by Lou Morheim, Fred Freiberger, and story by Ray Bradbury.
And the
Kinda,
effects
sorta, maybe.
done by Harryhausen.
Harryhausen, which I'm like, fuck yeah, you're a genius.
Yeah.
Just even watching this.
This was his first instance as the lead effects on anything, because previously he'd been behind. I don't remember what his name is. He was like the Godfather.
His
of
first
stop motion.
his first movie that he worked on, I guess, was Mighty Joe Young, which I did not realize was a remake of like a 40s movie. But yeah, he was under the guy who did King Kong, so who did the original King Kong stop motion. So I mean, who better to learn from? But
it's widely considered to be like the greatest stop motion effects artist of all time.
Yeah. So then this one stars. I'm just going to give you kind of the main three here. We got Paul Hubschmid as Professor Tom Nesbitt, which reminded me of Toy Story.
Yeah, Mrs. Nesbitt.
Paula Raymond as Lee Hunter, and Cecil Calloway as Professor Thurgood Elson, which I feel like those are kind of the main three that we need to know.
Yeah.
And I'm good there.
Who plays the Beast?
Nobody at stop motion.
Ray Harryhausen.
Ray
He
Harryhausen.
lives through his creations, bro.
There we go. Look at this guy's face.
Oh, damn.
Is that scary?
Gnarly.
Anyway, that's the background.
Were people actually black and white like that?
Yeah,
Like that back in the day?
Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah.
This was 1953, so just before Godzilla came out, right?
Yeah, and we were talking, I mean, we've mentioned this movie previously talking about it because this movie, outside of like King Kong, was the big inspiration for, it directly inspired Godzilla and then also inspired them, which we reviewed both of those movies. And there are some interesting little tidbits of trivia and overlaps between all of those things to talk about. But yeah, so some scientists are in the Arctic or the Antarctic? I'm getting them
where were they
confused
shot
now.
the thing?
Yeah. So
With their thing heads.
Yeah, that's one of the bits of trivia that I wanted to say is that they reuse the set from the thing from Another World in this when they do the Arctic scenes. But some dudes are in the Arctic. They run into a big fucking four-legged scaly dinosaur man.
Well, they're doing nuclear bomb testing.
Yes. So this was the first movie to use the atomic bomb as the impetus for the monster. So obviously that, if you know anything about like 50s monster movies, that's the entire genre basically is atomic monsters. So, and that's the name of James Wan's production company, Atomic Monster. So he has the beast from 20,000 Fathoms to thank for his career.
Yep.
I don't know. But yeah, so they end up awakening this prehistoric thing of...
Trapped in ice.
Yeah, trapped in ice, which is... So I guess maybe the idea was that it was trapped deep in the ice, 20,000 fathoms. I don't know. But yeah, so it breaks out, and then the movie plays very typical, like, 50s monster movie where dude goes back and tries to tell society about, like, I saw this big old monster, and nobody fucking believes him.
Killed my friend.
Yeah, I killed my friend. Which, when all that snow, that big avalanche fell on his friend, I was like, no, friend! Because it was sad.
Yeah.
Also, what nationality was this guy supposed to be? Because I thought it was interesting that he had kind of like a... I don't know,
I wasn't sure, but yeah, I like that too.
I liked that he had a foreign accent.
A little something going on.
Yeah, kind of mixed it up a little bit from the hair, I say, like, I'm an American hero, say.
Jimmy Stewart.
Yeah, pretty much.
And we get another pretty good female lead in this.
Yeah, and
which I thought was cool because we talked about that with them, but she was in the forefront and she was the only person that actually believed him and was like, "Hey, wait a second, like this."
Let's
has
look at all these
some
drawings and
legitimacy."
figure out like a way to prove this. So while I was watching this, I was like, "Oh, so them pretty much just straight up bit off the scientist and the assistant characters." And then I was looking through the IMDb trivia, and it was like them directly ripped off the scientist and the assistant character. So felt very, very familiar to the setup of them.
Just with effects work that is so much higher quality. I mean, it is a different league, even compared to basically every other like classic era black and white creature feature that we've watched up to this point. This had the best effects work by a fucking mile.
The stop motion is pretty fucking smooth, dude.
Yeah.
What I loved about this movie is just the fact that you can tell they're using so much movie magic, and I was just kind of enthralled with that and mesmerized by those effects. And I know it doesn't hold up now, but it just pulled at my heartstrings for the reason I love movies and the reason we're doing this.
That's how I felt about Godzilla, and that is also how I felt about this, because even if you didn't know who Ray Harryhausen was, when you watch this movie, there's so much attention to detail that went on to inspire tons of people. But like Henry Selick, obviously, with all of his stop motion stuff, pretty much everybody can say, oh, I watched the Jason and the Argonauts or whatever, or Clash of the Titans, and saw like all of the stop motion. But to see the detail that one of the ones that I picked out, and then it was in the trivia talking about how this was one of those like weird things that he went out of his way to put extra work into, was so the movie moves pretty quick, and we very quickly get to the beast from 20,000 Fathoms. I think it's called like a Rhedosaurus or something. Yeah, a fictional dinosaur. When it's attacking New York City, it has a part where it steps on a car, and then instead of just moving on from the shot, it like lifts the car slightly and drops it, and then its other foot stomps and moves the car slightly, and then it picks it up with its tail behind it. And there's just so much attention to like making this creature feel like it's an actual part of all of these sets, or like when it eats the police officer, how it does it like a dog or a cat would, where it like lifts him up and then it kind of like lunges out to grab him. And that's stuff that like wasn't being done in with stop motion creatures before that,
and that has been infinitely recreated in multiple iterations since then.
I mean, I think even part of what we're going to talk about after.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
There are
absolutely.
instances from the host that I was like, okay, this in some way may be inspired by it, maybe tangentially, but still one way or another, I think pulled influence.
One also other massive sci-fi properties, like the Rancor does it in Return of the Jedi, which is also another stop motion character.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's pretty crazy to see how far it spreads as far as the influence is concerned.
Yeah, and it's so cool to see somebody come in who has that kind of expertise that really nobody around them probably has. And I can't even imagine, I've seen behind the scenes videos and stuff, how much blood, sweat, and tears must go into making that stop motion work, and for it to still look as smooth as it does, and for you to be able to tell how much passion went into creating it just by watching this movie. Again, maybe not knowing who Ray Harryhausen is or was.
It may just be a Monsters Incorporated joke for you. Harryhausen's.
Oh shit! See, I would have to, if I had rewatched Monsters Inc. as an adult,
movie.
I would have immediately picked that up. That is hilarious. But the monster movie genre outside of like King Kong probably owes its largest debt to this movie without even maybe realizing it. I think most film buffs realize it, but I think most people think, oh, Godzilla and King Kong, like those are the two big ones. But Godzilla really wouldn't exist without this movie, and you can tell like this has all of the template of every monster, really every, like at least the Atomic Age monsters, but most monster movies that came after it. And it's super cool. And to see a monster attacking New York, but have it be like an older New York where it wasn't that difficult to be taller than the buildings there. And then comparing that to Cloverfield, where it's like thrown around the Statue of Liberty and shit, like how they've had to scale up the monsters just with how big buildings have gotten. Like Tokyo and Godzilla was a good example of that, where it's like they really didn't need to make that monster that big to tower over everything in Tokyo. And now they have to make him like, 300 feet tall or whatever. So
I think that's a good comparison, though, looking at this and Cloverfield. I mean, a lot of these movies are all kind of connected in some way or another, which for me has been one of the benefits of camp. I will say, though, that although Godzilla takes from this, I think Godzilla is a more impactful movie between the two of them. I mean, I kind of wish we would have watched Godzilla last, because it's so good.
It's like the magnum opus of
it takes every little like good thing from all of the movies that came before it, and then adds commentary and real social like repercussions. Yeah, and I think that's where it shines. It brings so much value in just that department alone.
This one very much less depressing though. Yeah, between the two of them. But you know me, I love some.
But I felt for the monster at the end on Coney Island when it was getting attacked by isotopes and a roller coaster. And I was just like, this is a much better Coney Island fight than the Spider-Man Homecoming Coney Island fight, because they didn't even go like flip around on all the roller coasters and shit.
They could have.
But in this, he's right in the middle of it,
stuck into a area that he put himself in.
Yeah.
So it does get a little bit silly toward the end, and I was like, all right, this is getting a little bit ridiculous, but I'm in for the ride. And obviously my however many years later sensibilities
and it doesn't
different.
It's only like an hour and 12 minutes long or whatever.
It goes by at a clip.
So it doesn't overstay its welcome, which is something that I felt like them did where it felt like it was kind of like doing the same thing for too long, where it's just like, we're looking for the ants, and then there's an ant attack, and then we're looking for the ants. This was kind of just like boom, boom, city attack, and then we defeat it.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm saying like it really feels like the prototype Godzilla, where it's like Godzilla took all of those elements and just fleshed them out a lot better. And this is more the template for like the American atomic monster movie. But I mentioned Cloverfield, and then you talked about it a little bit. Apparently, and this is in the IMDb trivia, I would have to look in the movie to actually see if I could find it, but I guess there are
IMDb trivia for
Cloverfield,
okay,
and for this movie, because they cross over, is that they inserted frames from this movie and from them into like the camera footage in Cloverfield. Yeah, to show that there is a direct line of inspiration between those movies.
That makes sense. It is very similar.
Yeah, something I thought was funny was that the actor who...
even with like the military moving in and kind of setting up and fuck, that's crazy. Yeah. There's a lot of connections between this specifically and Cloverfield, huh?
Yeah. There's an actor who was also in The Thing from Another World, and at one point he's talking about like, oh, next it'll be, or it's this, monsters and flying saucers, and then the doctor's like, what makes you think flying saucers aren't real? Which is funny because he's talking to the guy who was from A Thing from Another World. Yeah. So, flying saucer. There was a flying saucer in that. So
smart.
I like when these movies, even early on, seem to be kind of referencing where they're getting their inspiration. And it's just really cool to compare these movies, like see how much the genre has come, see how somebody like Bong Joon-ho takes things from this and like puts a modern spin on them. Something that I did like about this movie is you really see, they kind of obscure the creature, but you really get to see a lot of it and a lot of its movement and everything, which it just shows how much fucking work was put into it, that you get to see it so much.
Yeah, the scene where it tears that lighthouse down, so good.
So this has to be the inspiration for this, but do you remember the episode of Pokemon with Dragonite, where the Dragonite comes to the lighthouse? As soon as I saw this scene, that flashed in my memory, and I thought, that must be a reference. They must be referencing Beast from 20,000 Fathoms.
Yeah.
You know how we have like the spoiler alert?
Yeah.
Can we get like a nerd alert?
I mean, we just have to play it at the beginning of every episode.
It's just throughout the whole thing.
Yeah, it'll just be like an emergency broadcast system thing.
Like, the ticker tape.
Yeah.
That's fucking funny.
But yeah, I always thought that must be inspiration. So we mentioned earlier this was based on a Ray Bradbury story. I guess they had the idea for, we want to do a sea monster movie, and then just happened to see the Ray Bradbury story.
It was in like the Saturday Evening Post or something. Yeah, because it even says at the beginning of the movie, and I was like, that's so weird that they would add that.
Yeah, and the main bit that they took from his story is that, because the majority of that story is just monster attacks a lighthouse. So they were like, okay, well, if we include that scene, we can pay him, because he was really popular at the time. So they're like, we can pay him like $2,000 or whatever, get the rights, and then have his name attached to the movie, and then do whatever we want with the story. So really, the story is like just that lighthouse scene. So then later, so they retitled the movie based on his story, because it was originally called like Beast from Below the Sea, and then they were like, okay, we'll name it after his story. So then he went and changed the name of his story to The Foghorn when he went and republished it, I guess, to like separate it from this movie.
Yeah.
So,
and then he wrote a sequel called The Leghorn.
Oh yeah, Foghorn and Leghorn. Yeah.
I said.
Well, I really don't like any of those titles. None of them make that much sense to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like The Beast from the Ice or something. Like
The Ice Age.
The Ice.
It's just fun because it's a mouthful in all of these old titles. Besides them, that is what I liked about them. It's just short.
Perfect.
To the point.
So I mean, I do wish that we would have gone them, this, and then Godzilla. I feel like
them, this, who,
then, them,
Us,
this, then.
you.
Because I feel like that would have been a really good build-up. Because them, for me, was kind of the lower of the three. And then this is kind of the sweet spot. And then Godzilla, obviously, the heavy, really emotional stuff. And very well crafted as well. So I feel like, to me, that's kind of the trajectory. As far as these specifically types of creature features, I think Body Snatchers is kind of in its own thing.
Yeah.
But I love Body Snatchers too. So
I will say that it is nice to have had a movie that didn't have as much in the stakes department and the emotion department, when we also were in a week where we had to watch The Host.
Yeah, and the finale of Stranger Things.
Yeah.
After we already cried for 2 hours.
Yeah,
I'm done. I'm done crying for the year. But yeah, do we want to talk a little bit about Bong Joon-ho's The Host?
Well, before we jump into it, we should
rate
it. Out of 5 destroyed lighthouses.
Skull here, huh? In the dirt.
Oh yeah, like the Punisher. I am gonna jump the gun here and give you my rating. I'm gonna give this a 4. I think that just on what you said alone about seeing the magic of movie making at this period of time and seeing what Harryhausen was able to accomplish, and also just knowing that was the one thing that I did like about moving backwards in this way, was that it was cool to like kind of go back to the inception of the other movies we had seen, because it kind of made me appreciate this one even more as being like I said, the blueprint for these other movies.
Right.
So some did it better than this movie, like Godzilla. Some did it not quite as well, like them. So it was just interesting to see.
I think that I will also give it 4 lighthouses, again, because of how much the movie magic really tugged at me. And I think overall, I mean, it's a well-made movie. We get great pacing. The acting is good, too. And the effects are good. And like you said, there's not really a lull. Because at one point, you know he's not crazy because you've seen the monster now for yourself. And then now it's just like, can I get people to believe me? Can I get people to believe me? And it makes you instantly kind of root for this dude. And so I was like, yes, we know it's real. Like, let's go.
Yeah.
And they finally do. So, yeah, 4 lighthouses for me.
Yeah, I think it's going to be unanimous. It's a 4 Pete. It's definitely 4 lighthouses for me, because I think that it just holds up in a way that only a really well-crafted creature feature from this era can. You don't see the strings nearly as much because you're just kind of enamored with how they pulled off what they were able to accomplish.
Yeah, and in Godzilla, you literally saw the strings. Yeah, I wonder if this was in black and white also. I wonder if that lighthouse that the monster destroyed was the lighthouse from The Lighthouse with Robert Pattinson and Willem Dafoe.
Maybe. Might be. Might could.
Who knows? Let's talk about the host.
You'll have to ask what's his nuts. Eggers.
Robert
Sea critters.
Robert Eggboy. So this is the host, original title Gwemol, which apparently just means the monster in Korean. So this is a South Korean film. The synopsis is: a monster emerges from the Solhan River and begins attacking people. One victim's loving family does what it can to rescue her from its clutches. Like I said, this is directed by Bong Joon-ho, who you might know from other movies like Snowpiercer, Memories of Murder, Okja, and Parasite.
Yeah, Academy Award-winning
Parasite. All movies that I love. Memories of Murder, if you haven't checked it out, is fucking great. And most of his movies have the same people in them, so you will recognize some people like Song Kang-ho, who plays Park Gang-do, the main character.
I did. What was he? What else?
He's in Parasite.
Okay.
Yeah, he's in basically all of his other movies. He's also in Snowpiercer.
Yeah.
Byun Hee Bong as Park Hee Bong, that's the father character. Park Hae Il as Park Nam Il, that's the university student turned protester brother character.
Okay.
Bae Duna as Park Nam-ju, that's the Olympic archer.
Yep.
And Ko A-song as Park Hyun-so, who is the girl who gets kidnapped.
His daughter.
Yeah, and then Dal Soo-oh as the monster's voice. So I guess there was somebody voicing the monster.
Didn't realize that.
Yeah, so we have that's the whole family.
Yeah, so basic plot of this one is there's the dude Herschel from The Walking Dead is kind of a dick and makes his assistant dump all these chemicals down the drain.
Formaldehyde, yeah.
Yeah, and that apparently creates a monster, and that monster comes out the lake or the river and starts attacking.
Yep. So follows the similar trajectory of all of these other monster movies, which is some sort of human weapon or pollution causes the monster. So obvious, like direct parallel to everything else that we've watched pretty much. Also a little bit of background on this movie. That was something that actually happened in South Korea. Apparently there was a U.S. military mortician worker who was like stationed in South Korea, despite the protests of their South Korean assistant, ordered a bunch of formaldehyde to be poured into the river, which caused a huge uproar in South Korea. And they basically were like, our hands are tied. He's a U.S. government guy working over here, so we can't really do anything. And it caused some animosity between the United States and South Korea.
That's what we need.
Which you can see throughout this movie, because really this is also a... Bong Joon-ho said that he didn't want it to purely be an anti-American movie, but there is a pretty anti-American streak throughout the entire movie, which, you know what? Who can blame him?
Yeah.
And because it is a pretty anti-American movie, this is actually a very popular movie in North Korea. They actually really loved this South Korean film, which is very strange. But this is also, I think, still like the most financially successful South Korean film. This went gangbusters in Korea to the point where they actually have a statue of this monster alongside the Han River, which I
Really?
looked up, and it's super cool. Yeah,
That's fucking terrifying.
That's awesome.
yeah.
Yeah, but really cool, right? Yeah.
We need to build more monster statues of our, like, because I know if you go to Point Pleasant or whatever, they have the Mothman statue. We need more of that shit.
and some
Yeah.
lake has Jason at the bottom of it.
Yep.
Oh yeah, one of those lakes, one of those days. Yeah. So
So the daughter gets kidnapped by the monster, which we don't realize at first. We think she's just dead, and then anyone that's come in contact with the monster may or may not have a virus, which we don't find out later is all false. It's all American
misinformation.
bullshit. Yeah.
Fake news.
Fake news, right. But for a minute, I was like, this is a little corona-y.
Yeah.
And it hit pretty close to home.
Yeah, you get a lot of people wearing masks. A lot of people, like, when the guy, like, coughs and hawks a loogie into the puddle and then the puddle splashes everybody,
Yeah,
I was like, ooh.
And then the second half of the movie is kind of this core family trying to rescue a daughter or granddaughter or a niece.
Yeah, so if you've seen... excuse me. If you've seen a movie like Parasite, you know that Bong Joon-ho loves doing his dysfunctional families. He's
and
so
he does
good at
them
it.
so well. I mean, and you know a Bong Joon-ho movie as soon as you see anybody sit down to eat a meal.
Mm-hmm.
Everything feels
Makes
so
me so fucking
claustrophobic.
hungry every time
yeah,
I watch
but
his
they
movies,
just
though.
eat like it's the first thing they've eaten after not eating for months.
He said two major themes in this movie were eating and money.
Yeah.
So, but yeah,
When they're
so
having the dinner at the end, I was like, what do we got going on?
when they're all slurping the ramen, when they're all sitting in the food stand. But yeah, so two things that Bong Joon-ho wanted to do to kind of set this movie aside from other monster movies was he wanted to show a lot of the monster and in broad daylight.
He did, and I think that might have been a detriment to the movie.
I mean, it's from 2007. I mean, you have to compare it to the things that it came out around.
These effects were like
2006, excuse me.
These effects were like next fucking level when this movie came out. I remember people raving about how cool the monster looked in this movie and like how good it looked. And I think it's
like
just
the mystery. So, like at the beginning, we don't see it.
Mm-hmm.
People catch it in the cup, and I was like, okay, cool. And then that guy's about to kill himself and just looking into the water, and I was like, oh, that's so ominous, and I love that. And then when it's hanging and you just kind of see it drip and fall in, I was like, that's scary. And so I loved getting just little bits of it. And then it was just like,
I liked
here
that
we are.
immediate subversion though, because it makes the like park attack scene in the beginning really scary, because he drops down, you expect it's going to disappear, and we're going to wait another half hour before we see it again, and instead he turns his head and looks over, and this thing is barreling down the sidewalk killing people.
Yeah.
It's a scary monster. It looks fucking disgusting. It looks like it's got vaginas on vaginas on vaginas with teeth. And it's a part fish, so I mean, make whatever you want out of that thematically. But yeah, he was inspired by a news story that he had read that a fish had been found in the Han River with an S-shaped like spine deformity. So he really wanted the monster, and this reminds me of how they approached the Cloverfield monster too, which is this thing of like, he didn't want to make it like, Godzilla, where it's like, oh, just make it vaguely dinosaur-like and add a bunch of shit to it. He was like, I want it to look like an actual mutated creature, so let's bring in aspects of different kinds of fish and things like that into it, which is how they approached the Cloverfield
They mixed it
monster.
with cuttlefish.
Yeah. But yeah, this thing just comes through and just wrecks shop on this beach and kills a ton of people when it's in the one like cart or whatever, and the doors chain shut and all the people are like bloody and banging at the doors. I was like,
Yeah.
that's
So
when I
good.
texted you guys and was like, hey, I've seen this movie in several parts, but not enough to really piece together what it was about. And not really to sit down and like give it the time that it deserves, but I always remembered this opening scene being like pretty harrowing, and I think it is because you don't expect the monster to be just like front and center in daylight, just ripping people apart right away.
Yeah.
Did you like seeing a lot of the monster, or what are your thoughts on that?
So I think that it does a good job of still having tension and, legitimate horror themes throughout this. I mean, the monster component and the scary parts are the back seat, though.
That's a good
I
point.
mean, the story that we're getting is this very heavy family, story, which I mean is typical of all of his movies. There's obviously, like, if you compare it to Parasite, there's the drama that goes along with that, but there's also the central core theme is around the family and the way that they interact.
Do you think that him showing the monster and giving us so much of the monster helps put it into that backseat, so it's telling you as the audience member, this story isn't about this monster, it's about the family?
I'd say potentially yes. I mean, I think because this is the second time that I've watched this
Okay.
film. And when I first watched it, it was much closer to when it was released. And I found, like I said, at the time, the effects were fantastic. I think they still somewhat hold up.
We just have bigger TVs and higher definition now.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing that helps and gives benefit to this specific monster is that the glossy look is okay because it's a fish. I mean,
it's hella wet.
Yeah, I mean, if it had been like any other kind of creature, that glossy look automatically makes you think, oh, that's fake as fuck. You can suspend your disbelief somewhat because it is a water-based monster.
Yeah, and it's far enough from being an actual animal that you're able to kind of like suspend your disbelief a little bit there too. Instead of like with most CG animals where you're just like, that's not a fucking blue bear. Or that's not a fucking Shere Khan. Whatever. Something that's different about this monster too is that it's not a huge monster. It's like the size of a truck.
Yeah.
Like a little truck, like a pickup truck, basically. Like it's not a big monster, and I really like the way that it moves around, like swinging from the bridge and stuff, which I guess was just Bong Joon-ho looking at the bridge and going, "Well, how is this monster going to get around? Guess we need to give him arms and a long tail so he can like swing around like a spider monkey."
And he uses the tail a lot throughout the movie, and I think that it just adds to kind of like, even if you're like behind it or it's way ahead of you, that you're still not safe, which I think is a cool aspect as well. But yeah, I do think that what really shines in this movie is the dramatic family moments.
Well, yeah, because in the beginning they're all kind of split apart, whether that's emotionally, like the daughter is kind of like, you know, her dad is a schlub, he doesn't show up to her like parent teacher thing or whatever, or her like bring your parent to work day, her like drunk uncle or whatever does, and then so there's already like a separation between them, and then you got the older generation with the father, so there's already that separation between him and his kind of like deadbeat son, where the father is more like, you know, business or like well, he'll just bribe anybody for anything in this movie, which I read is also a generational thing. I guess the older generation of South Korean folks is more likely to use bribery to get what they want. So there's a lot of stuff too that we may not have like culturally totally understood. They talk about I forget what it's called, but the idea of like stealing but not actually stealing. And I guess it's a big thing in South Korean culture is that like young kids will mostly steal things from farms like melons and stuff, and it's not considered like criminal, and they won't get in trouble. They'll just get like admonished or like told not to do it. But so there's a lot of interesting cultural stuff going here. But yeah, then the aunt is off doing her Olympic thing, getting the bronze medal. The uncle was at university, and now he's kind of like also in a deadbeat situation where he was some kind of protester. And then the daughter is obviously then physically separated. So it's really about taking all these characters apart and then reuniting them over this tragedy, and kind of at the end trying to bring the family all back together to fight the big bad at the end.
Well, and with them like literally having to be scraped and pulled together, because when she first goes missing, they want nothing to do with each other, and they're literally fighting each other.
I love that scene at the
drop kicks him.
I love that scene when they're just like rolling around on the ground, all crying, like, and just kicking each other.
Yeah, that was fucking crazy.
Yeah, and the whole time making it harder for them to, because the father gets a call when they're in like a quarantine, because like Tone mentioned, they think that this, or they say basically, I think to distract people from the fact that there's a fucking formaldehyde monster running around and they know that they fucked up, is they say there's this virus. He thinks that he has it, so he's kind of being kept in this kind of quarantine, and he gets a phone call from the daughter, and she says that she's in some sort of sewer somewhere, and so the entire time the obstacle is really like the government is trying to hunt them down because they think that he has this virus. It gets to the point where they do end up capturing him and basically lobotomizing him, which was pretty horrifying to watch.
Yeah, to some degree, but then it doesn't really seem like it has that much of an effect on him.
Well, he was already dumb as shit, so...
I mean, that's literally the description of his character, is that he's slower than most.
But I guess the intention with that is that's when he gets lobotomized. Immediately after that is when he becomes super proactive about like, I'm going to hold this chick hostage and I'm going to break out. And I guess I was reading in the trivia that Bong Joon-ho said that like the lobotomy is when his character makes like a shift into being like the more proactive, like, I'm going to save the day father. Even though he really is the one who's constantly trying to tell people, like, it's heartbreaking when he's having that scene with the American guy, and
he's like, why won't they listen?
Yeah, he's like, nobody fucking listens to me. That's why. Like, he's like, why didn't you call anybody? Why didn't you tell the military? Why? Because nobody fucking listens to me. Like this entire time.
He did tell everybody.
Everyone pretends like I don't say words was one of the lines, and it's just like, oh.
I love that scene when they first pull up to the compound and the quarantine like military area, and then they just like look at him and they nod and they're like, well, then what was the point?
Yeah.
if that's how relaxed they are, what was the point of any of that?
Yeah, so not only is the
Like, that's
American
pretty
government kind of taking pot shots, but the bureaucracy of the South Korean government is also being kind of put under a microscope in this movie. So obviously Bong Joon-ho has his opinions about how all these governments work, but like you said, brings it all together with a family story. And there were some parts where I was like, I don't really know where this is going, where like when the uncle or the brother or whatever is kind of wandering off on his own, and then he meets up with the other dude to like
The drunk dude living under the bridge in the...
Well, there's that, but then when he meets up with the guy who ends up trying to like get him captured for the for the ransom or for the reward money or whatever.
Yeah, when he's trying to figure out exactly where the sewers are.
Yeah, there's some like
what's
little
happening?
detours where it's like kind of further splitting them apart, but they all end up back where they need to be. We are introduced to two orphan characters, an older brother and a younger brother. They both get attacked by the monster. The older brother ends up being killed. The younger brother ends up hanging out with the daughter who's been captured in the like sewer hangout. They both try to escape at one point, and they're swallowed up. And we're like, oh no, are they dead? And then at that same time, the father shows up, finally finds where she was through a big series of events. Is it the brother who finds out with the cell phone search on the computer?
I think
like
so,
what
yeah.
sewer she was in?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and even the government was like, or the police were like, how difficult? We don't just do that for anybody. And then he gets to the computer and does it, and he's like, oh, it was hella easy.
Yeah.
Like they were lying to you about like how difficult it would be. So while this is going on, the U.S. government has decided they're going to use Agent Yellow?
Yeah.
Which is a thinly veiled Agent Orange commentary to eradicate this monster. So they bring in like a little floaty thing that I guess is supposed to look like a mirror of the monster hanging from the bridge.
Oh, okay.
So they bring that in to douse everybody. There's a bunch of protesters, and we all meet up to have our final battle with the monster. And we get some...
Ooh, man.
Very emotional. I was not expecting this. Like I said, I hadn't seen this whole thing together, so I mean, we're well into spoilers here. Did not expect that the daughter would not make it through the movie.
Yeah.
And that was very sad. Should have expected it from Bong Joon-ho, though.
Yeah, he is not one to pull punches when it comes to...
Who dies?
The daughter.
The daughter dies. His dad dies.
Yeah, his dad gets...
Does his sister die?
No, I think... No, they...
She gets rocked.
Yeah, the dad gets...
it's like smashed, yeah. And then does
Body
the brother...
slammed.
The brother didn't die.
No, so he's throwing the Molotov cocktails.
Right. Okay.
And then...
But he jumps off a bridge and gets hurt for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's throwing the Molotov cocktails. He drops the last one. She picks up the arrow, which I was like, yeah!
Yeah.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, and she shoots a flaming arrow, and then the creature's trying to, which, I totally forgot this is the best part. The creature was nicknamed Steve Buscemi by Bong Joon-ho.
He has crazy eyes.
Yeah, because of kind of the way he looks, and which is, I guess, is a kind of an insult to Steve Buscemi. But if that man doesn't know what he looks like, then
he's like, "Hello, fellow monsters."
He looks like Randall.
Yeah, he really does. So Steve Buscemi is running on fire toward the water, and then at the last second, the father jumps out with the pole and
right.
Gets him in the mouth.
Kills the Bob,
and then I guess adopts that kid.
Yeah, so he adopts the kid, and then we get a little eating scene between the two of them. And on the news, there's a report that the entire virus thing was misinformation. And they're like, let's turn off the news. And it looks like the father is kind of looking out at the river during the winter, like
because he
afraid that something else might come back. Yeah, which could totally happen if they ever wanted to make a sequel. There was both a first-person shooter video game that was supposed to be made based off of this, and a sequel movie with a different director and a different writer, and both went into development hell, which I think is totally fine.
Yeah,
this movie stands on its own, doesn't need a sequel.
Yeah,
doesn't need an American remake.
Doesn't need an American remake. That was also something that was going to happen with Gore Verbinski.
That's
producing.
funny that you mentioned that, because parts of this movie I was like, this kind of feels like The Ring, like a Gore Verbinski version of The Ring, because it's very like dark and kind of like cold, kind of cool. Nolan style. And I was like, this is a little gore. Yeah. And then there was a lot of gore.
Yeah, so I really, really dug this. It had a lot of emotional moments, a lot of heartfelt moments, and I thought the creature was pretty cool. Even if the CG didn't totally hold up, I think the design is original enough. It doesn't look like every other Quiet Place, Demogorgon, Cloverfield
there,
monster.
though. We could see that it's getting there.
With the arms and shit, yeah.
And with the mouth.
Oh, that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is before a lot of those things happened. So, I mean, this is probably where a lot of those started, and then they
I'm sure.
slowly just...
Like you said, they're all working with the same engine.
Yep.
Yeah. I think Weta did. I know it was the Orphanage that did most of the work, but I think Weta Digital also did a lot of the work, and Weta is now working on like fucking everything, so it makes sense that things would cross over. But yeah, and I think the movie looks great. All of Bong Joon-ho's movies look great, and
the performances are top notch.
They are the shining star. And again, like I said, if you like the people that were in this movie, go watch any other Bong Joon-ho movie, and you will see most of them in those other movies.
Better yet, watch all of them because they're all great.
I've seen quite a few of them, and I can't say that there's a Bong Joon-ho movie I've seen that I didn't like.
Yeah.
So.
When they're escaping from the hospital, there's like this almost like football folly score to it, and I was like, "This is so much fun."
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah, I always forget how comedic even his monster movies or like his darker stuff is. Like he always. Because Parasite's a pretty dark movie, but it's such a funny movie too.
Yeah.
Like, there's so much comedy in it. So I mean, yeah, I think most people listening to this or watching this, if you haven't seen The Host, you've probably seen Parasite or at least heard about it. Mm-hmm. So I mean, really, this is a perfect segue into watching The Host. Check it out.
Cool. Let's rate them, huh?
Yep. Out of
Out of 5 Herschels.
5 Herschels.
I'll say 4. I'll say 4 Herschels. I had a good time with it. I do think that I wanted a little bit more mystery, and then maybe toward the end of the second act, it does kind of feel like we've been doing the same thing where it's like capture, escape, capture, escape. Mm-hmm. So I was kind of ready to get
when he got caught after the father died. I was like, God damn it, we're doing this again.
Yeah, and so other than that, though, I enjoyed the fuck out of this movie. So
yeah, I'm at a 4.5. I think 4.5 Herschels. I think the performances are really what sell this movie. The creature effects work well enough, but I think that, like I said, at the core, it is a Bong Joon-ho movie, and those qualities are what really sing.
Yeah. And his next movie is a sci-fi movie. I think we talked about it. He's doing some sort of sci-fi thing, so excited about that. Yeah, this is also a 4 for me. It's, like I said, it's emotional. It has a great story. I love the dysfunctional family dynamic because I come from a dysfunctional family, so I can relate. And if one of us got kidnapped by a monster, I would hope we would all find the way to get back together and go hunting for whichever one of us got kidnapped.
Might be your pseudo family that has to do that.
Yeah.
But we got your back.
Oh, thanks, guys. You gonna go look around in the sewer for me?
We got the creatures.
Yeah.
Creature knows.
All right. Let's talk about...
Yeah, that's going to wrap it up for our main discussion. We'll go ahead and move into our final cut.
What do you know? I asked for final cut, and I got it!
Before we get started with Stranger Things, some news came to my attention that because of things that we've shared previously on the show, I thought that I should share now. So,
okay,
there is a new 911. The number is 988. I don't know if you guys have heard about this, but it's a shortcut to a mental health hotline. Connects you to a trained mental health professional locally and nationally, if necessary, and you can call or text it. And the reason I mention it is because we've discussed mental health a lot on the show.
Mm-hmm.
I've donated to different mental health causes, and I thought that would be good for our audience to have.
Yeah, I read about this on Twitter and completely forgot to mention it, so thanks for picking up the ball.
Yeah. Someone just texted me, so if that shows you any indication of how much I struggle with mental health.
Yeah, somebody was like, I think you need this.
Yeah.
They just slide you a slip
Just
of
in case,
paper.
Tone.
You flip it over, it says 988.
Yeah, I also absorb emotions.
Yeah,
So-
but if you're struggling, call someone. Don't rely on your Twitter following to help you out of a bad mental place. I see a lot of people doing that, and I'm like, hey, you handle your shit however you want to, but there are phone numbers you can call with trained people who can help you out of whatever mess you find yourself in. And don't worry, we all feel that way a lot of the time.
Mm-hmm.
So,
But let's get into Stranger Things. We were breaking the binge and only watching one at a time, but we wanted to wrap Stranger Things up with camp, so we did watch episodes 8 and 9. If you feel like we cheated, then you're right.
then go fuck yourself.
But most people, I
show.
think, already did it anyway. I don't think anyone stuck with us.
Yeah, I sent a message to everyone else who was breaking the binge with us saying, like, hey, you now have our permission to finish out the rest of the show. None of them responded. They all liked the message, but I'm like, you motherfuckers probably all, except for I think it was Brooke was like, yeah, I'm still on episode 2. And I was like, you were the champion. You were the strongest of us all. Still on episode 2. How are you doing it, man? At this point, probably with the entirety of the show spoiled.
Yeah.
I felt very lucky that I was able to be... there were predictable things in these episodes, but overall I was able to be surprised. There was imagery that I had already seen.
The guitar,
yeah. I already knew that Master of Puppets was going to be a thing because there's now a huge backlash against people who are now Metallica fans because of Stranger Things.
And Metallica
actually came out and said on their Instagram, like, hey, we don't care how you become a Metallica fan. You're all family here. Like, it's cool with
unless
us.
you download it through Napster.
Yeah, and then
fuck Lars Ulrich.
I was gonna say, but don't sing the song, don't sing a cover. He will come after you for those rights. He will want the money.
Still reminds me of one of the funniest moments in Twitch history. Right after they rolled out a lot of their DMCA profiles, they had them playing at like a Twitch event, and so basically, if you play copyrighted music, like from specific companies, it will like put music over the top of it. And it won't allow any of the audio to play from the broadcast. Oh. And so they played at like some of their songs at an event that was hosted by Twitch, and it got picked up by the algorithm and completely blocked off. So anybody watching it heard some random like bullshit like beep boo boo bop boo boo beep music instead to just images of Metallica attempting to fucking
shred.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking hilarious.
That is pretty good. So, I'm having a hard time separating the two episodes.
So I was going to say the easiest way to talk about these is probably going to be just like talk about them as a one big finale, because it is kind of hard.
Oh, okay.
To separate
It's
them.
the Papa one, right?
Yeah.
Is 8?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So Elle's doing Papa stuff. Shit with her friends. And the boys are finally getting to her.
Yeah, so the boys are driving around in the desert trying to figure out where Elle is. They're getting close, but they can't figure out exactly where she is. They wander around in the desert for a little bit.
Is this... Oh, no, this is when... Is this when the kids are doing the SOS thing? Is this all the same episode?
No. This is the episode before that. Nancy was stopped right as she was about to cross back into the right side up.
Oh, right. Okay.
This is when all the gang goes to the gun store.
Oh, okay.
To get ready for their expert plan
Right.
to go against Vecna.
Ooh, that shit was
So basically everybody is deciding on their different ways that they're going to try to tackle this. I was surprised that they didn't end up bringing all the characters back together for the finale until the very, very end.
No, still, they don't.
Yeah, but they pretty much all fight from different corners of either Hawkins or the world, really.
Yeah.
Which was kind of a cool way to do it. I liked that it wasn't that they were all kind of fighting from their own different places. So yeah, Elle has come to the realization that she is not the monster. Matthew Modine is the monster, which we all could have fucking told you.
Yeah.
Elle, that he was the monster.
Is that
he
Brenner?
was a piece of shit, yeah.
Okay. Love Owens. The more and more that he gets into the show, I'm like, yeah, because he, especially in this season, he's rooting for Elle so much and trying to help her out, and I was like, dude, you're doing such a good job.
Yeah, so the military comes and kind of invades the secret base where the Nina Project is happening, so Owens gets like handcuffed up and punched a bunch. There ends up being like a big shootout at the complex. Just in time, our gang in the Surfer Boy Pizza van pulls up, and they see Brenner gets fucking riddled with bullets, which was pretty nuts.
And then Elle ranks a whole ass helicopter out of the sky.
Yeah, so she definitely has her powers back.
Yeah.
She's definitely got her mojo. So she...
How Ella got her groove back.
Yeah, so I really, really loved how they handled this moment where Brenner is telling her, like, hey, can you understand why I did what I did? You're my kid. Like, please understand. And she's just like, fuck you. Like, see you later.
No,
you
that
ruined my
she
life.
didn't give him the satisfaction.
Yeah, because I was like, please don't be like, oh, Papa, like, I love you or whatever. Yeah. It's like, no, just be like, you're fucking dead and you
Hopper's
deserve to be
her dad.
dead. Yeah, Hopper's her dad. Yeah. And I just loved seeing her reunite with at least part of the gang and then finally getting to where they were going, because it fucking took them long enough to figure out where this Nina thing was.
Yep, and then Nancy and them are...
Maybe she's like a small lady.
Nancy and them are figuring out a plan to go into the Upside Down and also distract Vecna in Hawkins, so that while he's distracted in Hawkins, they can go into the Upside Down and kill him physically.
Yeah, so there's like Inception levels of shit going on, because now we, like you said, it's kind of confirmed that Vecna has his own kind of like, in his mind bubble
area,
of the Upside Down, and then there's the Upside Down, and then there's the right side up. So they're kind of having to attack him from all of these layers. So Max and I had kind of called this, that if she stopped listening to the music, Vecna might come back for her. They all kind of realize that too. So she has the plan that she's going to be kind of the bait. She's going to stop listening to Kate Bush so that Vecna can come get her, so that they can get him in the house and they can attack him. They decide in order to get the things they need, they're going to go to this Warzone gun store, which just looks like a fucking nightmare version of Bass Pro Shop.
Yeah.
When they get there, the characters that I keep forgetting about until they come back and decide to be, you know, the most fucking annoying things in the world, which is the football team.
Yeah.
Basketball team.
Or the basketball team, yeah. So I don't fucking care what sport they play.
I was talking to Ashley, the intern, and she made the same comment that they were the football team.
They're just douches in
then
Letterman
corrected
jackets.
herself.
I don't give a shit.
And she's like, it just shows how shitty they are. I don't care what sport. You just suck.
Yeah, so there's a little confrontation between Nancy and, is it Jason?
Yes.
Where he grabs her gun and is giving her advice about how to use it, and she's like, "Get your dirty paws off me, you damn dirty ape."
Yeah, almost word for word.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's crazy. You just pull it out of memory.
Yeah.
So for me, with this episode and with the last episode and kind of this whole season, and you talked a little bit about it, this show the season specifically, has so many like conveniences. Like that was convenient. Oh, that was convenient. Like they instantly figure everything out.
Yeah.
Almost all of their theories are exactly right the first time that they try them.
I think that was my complaint last episode, was like they're just figuring shit out. Like
the place that they stop in the desert just happens to be right next to the fucking tracks. Like they didn't see the military while they were driving around, and then they get there just in time to stop Elle from getting shot. Like everything is just at the right moment.
There just happens to be a Surfer Boy pizza in the same town for them to go to get the salt.
Exactly. Yeah.
I like the aesthetic of that. I thought it was cool that she did the thing in the pizza dough oven. Like I thought that was cool.
And then even like, oh, the Demogorgon's still there. It just happens to take everybody out to make that whole thing easier for that. Like everything is just so convenient to the point where I was like, there's too much of it.
Yeah, and like their whole thought of like, oh, it's a hive mind, so maybe if we go back to the prison and attack these Demogorgons and stuff, and I was like, to me that's kind of a stretch.
They really pushed the hive mind these last like 3 episodes. Like hive mind.
Specifically so that they get away with having everybody in different places, because they're all connected by the hive mind. Something that I really did like about kind of extending Elle's powers is the idea of the piggyback, which we get into in the last episode.
I mean, the whole name of the episode.
Yeah, the whole episode is this idea that she realizes that because she was able to go into like Billy's mind and see his memories, and she's done that with other people before, that maybe she can jump into Max's mind and use that as a bridge to fight Vecna. So they get that set up. Lucas and Max go into the house. What's his sister's name?
Erica.
Erica goes over to the playground, and they're doing a little like signaling back and forth, getting the whole plan in motion. And then the gang of Eddie, Dustin, Steve, Robin
and
Nancy go to the Upside Down. Steve, Nancy, and Robin pretty much for like a whole episode or half of an episode get strung up with vines in the house.
Yeah.
And they're getting strangled, and I'm like,
for how long?
For a long time. And then I was like, how were you not? You all have brain damage for sure by the time you got released from that.
Yeah, and that part too, where it's like he goes and he kills everybody like as soon as he can, and then at the very end he's like, well, let's take our time. But just because it's the main characters.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit frustrating to watch. I mean, overall it was good, and I enjoyed myself through both episodes, and I was glued to the TV for especially the second one. But I'm glad it's ending.
Yeah, I think really if this had been the last season and they had been able to wrap things up with Vecna in the end right here and actually had killed Vecna and had him be like, because I was thinking like, oh, maybe he isn't the the big bad leader of the Upside Down. Turns out he is. He's behind everything, because we find out that, like you were saying, that world that he got thrown into wasn't really the Upside Down. It was like a different dimension
that also
that
had everything from the Upside Down.
Yeah, so he meets the Mind Flayer. He's somehow able to like manifest him into the Mind Flayer that we know when he runs into him, and then through partnering with the Mind Flayer, he's able to kind of create the Upside Down that we know.
I guess.
Yeah, and then
it's not clear.
Because it seems like his mind world is like the all red, like all viney place, and it seems like the distillation of that mixed with this other world is like what the Upside Down is. And so he is kind of like the big bad behind everything, and his main goal is just kill all humans. I still don't really... I'm like, I wish there was a little bit more to his character outside of just, I'm evil, I've always been evil, and I'm just better than everybody, so I'm going to kill him. I'm like, okay, so you're Hitler. All right. Like, that's fine, I guess. But, I mean, I really still do like the Vecna character. I think he's scary.
What are your thoughts on 8 and 9?
I mean, so I felt like they were very emotionally impactful. I feel like I
mean, once again, this cast is like the shining star of all of Stranger Things. Like, I mean, it's just seeing them interact, and every time they gave a speech. I mean, we talked about that shit with Will in the car when he just starts bawling and he shows the painting to Mike finally. Because he's 100% gay and 100% in love with Mike. I just loved that scene between the two of them, and kind of the reminiscing to like when they used to play D&D together, and he's like, "You're the heart of the group," and that obviously comes back when they're trying to bring Elle back from her trance. He's like, "You're the heart. Tell her she's got to fight."
Well, yeah, and I think that as much as there are a lot of these like plot conveniences and things like that, those are mostly things that I can push to the side, because I'm looking for the moment-to-moment scenes with the characters. I think that the scene at the pizzeria between Will and Jonathan was beautiful. I was firmly in tears. Just a gorgeous moment between two people who do a pretty damn good job of playing brothers that really care about each other. I felt like the connection amongst all of the characters, even working from distance, worked really well. I felt like the scene in the attic at Creel's house between Lucas, Max, and Jason when he shows up is harrowing shit. Them, duking it out in a fist fight while Max is being
Lucas
taken.
In these last couple episodes.
Oh yeah,
like he is so good, and it just showed how like him, and then that speech with Jonathan just made me realize how much of a shame it was that they seemed to take such a back seat for the rest of the season, and then now they're kind of like getting these big like apology speeches at the end to be like, sorry, I wasn't really around for the whole season doing much, but now I'm here and I'm reminding you why I'm so fucking good and why you loved my character in previous seasons.
Yeah.
But I thought the stuff with him and Max and when they're sitting in the house and they're getting ready for the attack or whatever, and they're writing notes to each other, and he asks her if she wants to go to a movie, and she draws the little like seats for the movie and them holding hands.
Yeah.
I cried a lot during this last episode. I will admit, like I said, I don't think I've cried this much since watching The Little Prince. But I was just like,
he's reading her is the Duffer Brothers production company's next project.
Yeah.
Well, Easter egg.
Stephen King. Yeah.
I think that Jonathan really got shafted in this season. He doesn't do shit really.
Well, and his storyline doesn't
speech, which is cool, but then he really has no arc, because then even at the end, he's like,
still
Nancy, are we
lying to
good?
Nancy.
He's still lying. Yeah. And so I'm like, okay, well, you were at one point and you're just not stoned now, but you're really still at the same point. So that was kind of a disservice, and I think that we were all kind of disappointed with the way his character was going until he started to take action, but then that action didn't really amount to too much.
On the opposite end of the spectrum, I think something really good, like really smart that they're doing, is that they're taking a character who for the first season definitely, and then kind of for the first couple seasons, Will took a huge backseat, especially in the first. He's kidnapped, he's gone in the Upside Down. Back when they used to play that as a mystery. Like, I was thinking back to the first season, like, remember how interesting it was to not know what the fuck was going on, like, for a few episodes, and then find out, like, oh shit, there's an alternate dimension, oh shit, there's monsters. Like, it was cool.
I'm glad we're exploring it to the extent we are. I mean, this is obviously the most time we've spent in the Upside Down.
Yeah.
Well, and I think we've long since been into spoilers. You had your spoiler alert probably at the very beginning as soon as we said any words that were in the final cut. But the fact that the Upside Down is now bleeding into the real world we're going to explore it a whole lot more thoroughly.
Oh, but what I was going to say about Will real quick is that they've developed his character really well this season. And now he's taking, it seems like, the front seat for next season because we get to the end and he's like, now that I'm back in Hawkins, I can sense Vecna and I'm connected to him.
I'm thinking that's going to be a Harry Potter Voldemort situation where he's going to have to die to defeat all of the Upside Down.
Yeah, because he was the first one to disappear and be connected to all this.
Connected to it, yeah.
So
and I'm wondering if that's what's going to happen. That's why they're building this up with his character.
I'm just hoping that they at least give him a cool haircut for the final season. Give him at least that much. Like, let him be the hero and have a cool haircut.
I mean, if give him like a flock of seagulls bang. Or
I mean, in comparison to what he's had, this is fine.
Yeah, if you talk to the Zoomers, they're probably all digging his bowl cut.
His wasn't too bad in the first season. He was just like a kid.
Yeah, when you're little like that, but when he starts getting tall and lanky and he's still got that long ass, like,
I also think
hair,
Mike's character didn't really do much this season.
Yeah, I liked when he kind of explained why he didn't tell Elle that he loved her because he was afraid about losing her. But that's all kind of stuff that I would have kind of assumed from their characters would happen, and it all felt kind of like, okay, we're getting to this stage, and I'm not totally convinced that Finn Wolfhard like really has what he had when he was younger. Like, he seems a little bit more
every
like,
speech he gave, it was like, I don't like, it was a stutter, and then he would just, I don't know, it was kind of flat in parts, and I was like, every time that you're giving these discussion speeches, it's almost the same thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's so weird, because like you said, he carried the show for 2 seasons.
Yeah. I did like when he had that whole thing about like, my life changed when I met you in the woods, and flashing back to the beginning. And like, anytime they flash back to the earlier seasons and it remind us why we love these characters so much, I just break down.
Yeah.
Because I have had such really, like, as we can complain about how repetitive the show's been or whatever, but throughout all 4 seasons, I've had a fucking blast with this show, and I still think it's like some of the best TV still. Like, every season is still, I would say, pretty fantastic, and doing things that you don't really see many other places, and it still has like its own unique. Like, it lives in its own little unique world where I feel like a lot of stuff with Marvel and Disney and Star Wars is starting to feel very homogenous. Stranger Things has its own little, as much as it is Stephen King mixed with, basically everything else from the 80s and D&D and stuff. Like, something that I meant to bring up last episode is the subtitles. I don't know who else watches this with subtitles, but they have a lot of interesting subtitles like Eldritch Thrumming and things like that. And I was like, these are really weird, specific subtitles. I read an article the other day that the people who were the employees who did the subtitles are apparently like huge D&D fans. Like, for years and years, this one person they interviewed was like, yeah, I've been a D&D player for 20 years, and then I got to write the subtitles for this show. So pretty much all the subtitles are references to D&D spells.
That's funny.
And like
they
D&D
use the word
references and things.
Wetly a lot. Like, that sounds so gross. Like, he weltly like squelched. And I was like,
squelching wetly.
I was like, dude, that sounds so nasty. Any complaints at all from you? What do you think? Any downs to it? You were just 100% like nut butter.
I mean, like I said, it's because there's stuff to complain about for sure. I mean, like I said, it is very convenient.
Yeah.
It's predictable in a lot of places. It does enough to subvert your expectations where I feel like a lot of that can be pushed to the side for me. It doesn't affect my viewing experience, because when I go into it, I'm looking for, for the action to be fun, for there to be, just barely still cool for younger people gore, and even sometimes breaking that by a little bit. And they
like some bones.
Yeah, I mean, and they really pack some heavy-hitting emotional moments, some really heavy-hitting, like, physical moments. I mean, the whole scene with Eddie is just, it's rough to watch.
With him getting attacked by the
swarm.
Yeah,
of
like
bats.
you said, super predictable. And when he died, it didn't really hit me that much. We knew he was kind of going to die one way or another, and a little bit of a cop out, like introducing a character just to kill him. It's have a slight emotional connection to him, but not like 100% like we do with the rest of the kids. But the speech with Dustin and his uncle, holy shit!
When
dude.
When Dustin started crying, I was like, "Please don't do that. You're so sad." And and the uncle who didn't, you didn't really know if he cared about Eddie, and then now he's like putting up the posters to replace the ones that have been scrawled on, and it's so sad that like the news reports are saying that Eddie was the killer and that is probably connected and that it was this Hellfire cult. And that was something that I was going to... I felt very emotional in his death scene. I knew it was going to happen. I had called last week that I thought Eddie was going to be the character that they were basically Walking Deading us this whole season by making him like the fan favorite character of this season. I'm, of course, going to love somebody who... I mentioned to you guys, was born the same year as my dad, is into all the same music as my dad, and also plays D&D, which I don't think my dad did because I don't think he was a nerd. But all of that combined, I just loved his character, and I loved his concert. Like, that was so cool. And
apparently he actually learned how to play that song. That was a little tidbit that I got from Ashley the intern.
I was wondering because I was like, "Is that seem right?"
No, he learned. Yeah, he learned how to play that song specifically so that way the shots would look good.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, that shit was fucking rad.
But good for Steve because now he doesn't have competition for being Dustin's
best friend,
male best friend.
Pal.
Yeah, adult male best friend.
Yeah, so they basically got Infinity Ward at the end of this. They lost.
Yeah.
Was that something that you were expecting?
Kind of.
I was expecting.
I was hoping that we would end up with like a rug pull. Like even when they were fighting Vecna, it felt very triumphant, but I was like, "There's gonna be a rug pull."
Yeah,
like something's gonna happen.
Yeah, and the scene between Max and Lucas where she's just like screaming out and it's just like, "I can't see, I can't feel."
Oh yeah.
I'm still upset at the fact that Sadie Sink didn't get any kind of
she was
Emmy nomination.
She was phenomenal in this season.
She did not.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Because a lot of people were like she got snubbed.
Wow.
Because I thought she was phenomenal.
I'll tell you what awards we'll probably be getting.
I mean, still, really, like I would go back and watch the Dear Billy episode right now. Like it would still probably give me chills. Like, and her whole speech about how she kind of did want Billy to die. And like spilling the beans about that,
so real and raw,
and then the twist of Lucas being like, "Is that all true?" But like you don't know at first that he's Vecna. I knew it immediately.
The moment he turned and was like, "Is that all?" I was like, "Oh, you're getting Vecna."
But I love that they do that, like very Elm Street, like kind of like going into a dream without realizing you're in a dream. That's how it feels to fall asleep.
Yeah.
So, totally makes sense.
Yeah, that scene was so fucking emotional and it was beautiful. And like you said, Lucas shines so much in that. And to go from seeing him in the attic, but then also flashing to Elle watching them like in the black zone.
Yeah.
I was like, holy fuck, man. Like that's... And Elle not being able to reach out to her friend and like help either of them for a minute. That shit hits hard.
Yeah. Well, and I had forgotten how close Elle and Max were until they had that very emotional scene where it's them going shopping and hanging out and being gal
reading
pals.
comics.
And I was like, fuck, this is so heartbreaking for everybody. But Max ends up basically trying to... Well, she tries to hide from Vecna in the dance, school dance, and we get a face-off.
Snowball.
The snowball dance. We end up getting a face-off, a sort of face-off between Elle and Henry, Vecna, where they're just throwing each other back and forth. Force push. So that was
floating, but no glowing.
Yeah, we didn't get the glowing. Yeah, and then Max, I was convinced she was going to die.
Yeah.
So I was surprised.
She did, technically, right?
I mean, I guess we don't really know for sure, but when Elle went like into her mind or whatever, there was nothing there. I guess
she died, and that's why the gate opened.
Back.
Yeah, and then Elle did something to... She
got by on a technicality, didn't you, Vecna?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Technically, she died, so...
Elle hit her with the fucking Umbrella Victor move.
Yeah.
And Harlaned her back to life.
I was going to say it's the Rey Force heal from Rise of Skywalker. The convenient, I'm going to heal you with the Force.
Yeah. But not 100%. So that was cool. I'm glad it wasn't just like they punched and then they pulled it just a little bit on that one. So I was like, all right, I'll take it.
Yeah, I guess they didn't
it still
want it
hits
to
really
be
hard.
too depressing, and I think they probably realized that Sadie Sink is too good to let go.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to get some like fun mind adventures with her, like maybe Elle having to like go into her mind / maybe she's in the Upside Down in some way because of a connection to Vecna. Maybe Max's new connection to Vecna might help them find him, because we learned from Will that Vecna's not dead, even though he got burned by a bunch of Molotovs, which is just like in The Host.
Yeah. He hit, and then they looked out, and I was like, you're about to get fucking Michael Myers, dude.
Yep.
And then, boop.
He gone. See you later.
That was very Michael Myers, because he falls out of the window, and then they go down, and he's gone.
It's like,
so yeah, he's like, he's hurt, he's mad, and he's going to come back for revenge.
He's going to find her.
Yeah. So they get the fourth talk, like you said. We get the earthquake that Nancy saw in her flash forward that Vecna showed her that connects the 4 portals across Hawkins. I was surprised that they kind of just... all were like, oh, that was an earthquake. I was expecting like all the monsters to start coming out immediately.
Well, it also seemed like it was big holes. I mean, it cut across Jason, which I was like, fuck you, dude.
So I was glad he died, but I wanted him to get his shit rocked by Vecna. Like, I really wanted him to get to like go through like a nightmare first and then get like all split apart and shit. And I was like, okay, being bisected by the Upside Down is good enough. As long as he's dead and we don't have to worry about him coming back to fuck things up next season.
What do you think of like the grandness of the ending? Because I mean, this is a place we've never been before, right?
Yeah, it is massive.
It's
in scale.
All been very contained. Only our core group knows. Now it seems like everyone's going to know.
It's so weird to think last season we were in a mall.
What did that
for the
do
finale.
for you?
I mean, like I said, I think that it's allowing for the story to go to bigger places. Like I said, and I think that the Upside Down bleeding into the real world is going to make that bigger for the final season. And I think that they've got things paced at the right clip. I think that the world kind of knowing and kind of finding out more about the story is going to be where everything ends up. I'm excited to see what happens next. I think that the fact that Will has the attachment to Vecna, I think that there's a possibility we may end up using him as a catalyst to get to Max potentially, if that's what ends up happening next season, is that she's kind of like mentally trapped there or whatever. But yeah, I think that I'm sad that that character probably won't have as big of a role in the final season, but I'm excited to see what they do next.
Oh, it'll be like Insidious. She's in a coma and we have to go into the further. We got to get Lin Shaye.
Yeah.
A storyline that we didn't really talk about at all because it pretty much till the end ended up being the most boring side story of them all was Hopper and Joyce and Murray in Russia.
I will say that moment when they first embrace and they kiss, I was like, fuck yeah. I almost cried at that. And I was like, oh, it was such a happy emotion. I was like,
yeah,
thank
I loved
you.
that.
Also,
again, it's the character moments that are the best parts.
Yeah, and also when he decapitates the Demogorgon, that shit's pretty fucking cool.
So nerdy.
Conan the Barbarian's sword.
Yeah.
I was like, okay,
So
that was
cool.
rad. The whole time I just kept making like, oh, the sword has no name jokes.
Yeah.
Because of that guy from Game of Thrones.
Yeah, and that I made that connection like 2 episodes, and I was like, that's Jack and Hagar.
Faceless
You want
guy.
to do what now?
Yeah.
He wants a Jack in a car.
But when they all go back to the cabin at the end,
Yeah. Oh man.
That-
That him and Elf, and she's just like,
When he walked in, it was just
Bitchin'.
like, "Hey,
Yeah.
kid."
yeah,
And then she just broke down. Oh
Yeah.
man, it's making me emotional just thinking about it.
But yeah,
so good.
the you stole my haircut.
So
Yeah,
also
and-
Hopper looks fantastic.
Yeah, everybody
I love
mentioning that
they-
he looks smaller. Yeah, and that he lost weight. I was like, yeah, because you were looking real rough last season.
I watched the interview with him and Winona, and he was like, "Oh, I loved Fat Hopper."
It's probably more fun to be Fat
See,
Hopper
I'm
because you
sure-
just get to do whatever you want.
See, I'm sure after he got in shape for Hellboy, he's probably like, yeah, I'm not headed back down that road again.
Yeah, or you could just well, no, Chris Pratt looks pretty good now. I was just thinking of him as Star-Lord, where they like intentionally kind of pudged him out a little bit as the movies went on, so they could make jokes about him. But yeah, so they get reunited. Joyce gets reunited with her kids, and I liked the Elle made that little comment about like, "I'm glad you went to your conference."
Yeah.
Yeah,
I really liked the touch of Mike with Hopper at the end there too, because going back and watching these, which we did recently, at least you and I did, I don't remember if you did, but in season 2, they're like buddies. Mike and Hopper are like buddies. And then season 3, there's that huge disconnect because he's with
him
Elle.
dating, yeah.
And then at the end here, we kind of get more reminiscent of their relationship in 2.
And then they hug it out.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
thought that was really great. And I think that this season did a really good job of kind of blending everything back together, because sometimes they do feel a little bit disconnected. We've mentioned before, like 1 feels like a thing, 2 feels like a thing, and 3 feels like a thing, where there's the characters, obviously, in the past has happened, but now in this season, they've taken a lot of what they've learned, carrying it over, which was rad, and then a lot of the relationships are starting to carry over more too.
And you can tell whether this is something that they did intentionally. I don't know if the Duffer Brothers had, I doubt it, had all of these seasons planned out ahead of time. But just even connecting it back to like Vecna saying the one set of powers that I needed was your powers, which is the power to open gates. He got that power when she lost her power in season 3, because it flashes back to her having lost her power there. So he's able to get that power and then use that to open the gates in this season. and it connects back to her opening the gate in the first season, and that's how he first was able to start getting through with the Upside Down. He talks about how she's resisted for 3 straight seasons against him. So it is trying to kind of connect those narratives that before felt very much like this is Adventure 1, Adventure 2, Adventure 3. Now it's not, oh, okay, no, they're all part of the same thing.
Here's the through line.
Yeah.
I also thought it was interesting that we get to that final scene and there's a person who's missing. Murray's not there.
Murray's not there, and then also neither is Argyle.
Yeah, so I have a sneak... I couldn't tell you about Argyle. He probably had to go back home to his family.
Well, he was finding some mushrooms, so...
He was on that purple
Argyle,
pineapple delight or whatever.
But I have a sneaking suspicion
that...
that...
purple palm tree delight.
Yeah, I think that Murray might have been hired by Owen's team.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah.
Oh,
He's so anti-government.
But they're not really the government. They're also kind of anti-government.
Yeah, I was a little bit disappointed we didn't get to see anything with Owens. I was hoping maybe he brought them there, but it makes sense that.
Well, they just
it was
briefly
that woman.
mention him in the end, where it's like, oh, Owen said this and this. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm glad we at least got that. I'm glad Briner's dead.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we've completed that storyline.
I'm glad that's wrapped up, yeah, because I think we've all questioned, like, whatever happened to him. And now my only other question really is what happened to 8. And thinking about Vecna's power set, his mind thing is a lot like what 8 does. And so I'm curious.
Where he can, like, create, hallucinate, or, like, he's like Mysterio,
you
basically.
think you're in it and you can walk through it and kind of manipulate
so
what
maybe
they're
he killed
saying.
her already.
So, yeah, maybe. But I know that we didn't love that episode into.
It would just be nice to not have it be a completely dangling loose thread because people didn't like that episode. I'm like, well, you still made it. Like, at least try to tie it in a little bit.
And I don't know if that's the general consensus, because I know you have. You liked that episode.
Yeah, I liked that episode just fine. I didn't feel like it was my favorite of the season, but I liked it. I didn't have a problem with it. But I know that for the majority of people, they were like, that's kind of the sore thumb.
And they mention it because at one point, Henry's talking to her in the lab, and he's like, oh, this is after 8 left.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, so they haven't completely written it off, which is cool, but I hope that we get a little bit more.
The line that probably hit me the hardest was when Elle was talking to Hopper, and she says, I left the door open 3 inches the whole time. I lost my shit.
Yeah.
And then, when they're standing outside, and Will has his little spider sense, and they turn around, and they see that the Upside Down, it's now starting to snow the, like, weird skin flake looking gold member shit that the Upside Down has, and the flowers and stuff are turning like monochrome. Very ominous. And then there's these giant upside down tornadoes. I was like, well, the world's definitely going to see that shit.
Yeah, and that's what I think I'm excited to see, is because it's all been very contained, and now we get this big thing everyone's going to know, and it's going to be a way different season, I think.
Yeah.
It's finally been a win for the Upside Down, because I know that was the big plan in season 3 when Billy was like going into the Upside Down and had all the like replica meat people, was like, oh, we're going to like take over the right side up. And it's like, he's just been trying different plans and seeing what sticks. And then finally he was able to come up with whatever this like 4 chimes, 4 kills clock door opening thing was, which I assume is only possible because he took Elle's powers in season 3 through, that connection with the Mind Flayer or whatever. But yeah, I mean, what a cliffhanger finale. I'm very, very excited to see how much bigger they get. The rumors have been that this final season is not going to be as long and extended episode lengths as this season is. I wouldn't mind if it was.
I heard otherwise.
Yes, I mean, so
that they were going to be like all movie length some shit.
I'd be totally fine with that.
Give me whatever it has to be for it to be good, and for it to get a good finality to the show.
That's really what I want. And other predictions, I think Will's gonna die. I know we talked about that. I think there's probably gonna be a big massacre of people. I think they're just gonna start dropping like flies. It's weird that they're focused on college and still talking about these conversations and like what they're gonna do, and I'm like, I don't think any of that's going to happen. I think it's going to all just be a action season.
Yeah.
But the real question is, do you think that Robin will find love? Do you think that Will will find love? Do you think that Steve will find love?
I really don't want him and Nancy together.
It's going to happen next season. They're already setting up that she's going to find out that Jonathan's lying to her.
Yeah, there's a wedge
fight. They're going to break
drawn.
apart. And I think that's probably why they gave Jonathan a back seat here, is because they probably, to me, it very much feels like they had the intention of like, we want to get Steve, since he's such a popular character, back with Nancy. And how do we do that? We give Jonathan the back seat and make him like a burnout stoner all season, and then have him lie to her at the end. Well, really the whole season, but especially at the end, lie to her, so that we can have that reason to split them apart next season and make it so that Steve and Nancy can get together.
My problem there is the lie doesn't matter because obviously they have to immediately deal with upside down stuff. Like I don't think it's going to be like life with the upside down and then like trying to navigate cracks and shit. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
So it's like they're not going to go to college. But I did hear rumors that there's going to be a time jump.
That's what I also heard. Yeah. They said there's going to be a mandatory time jump. Like they have to do it in order to like
because the kids are so old now.
Yeah. Well, I mean they're not going to be believable freshmen in high school anymore.
Yeah. They're not.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm very, very excited. I don't know how long we're going to have to wait for this next season, but I'm glad that it's the last one because we can go into it knowing that hopefully it's going to be the epic. Like, this gave me good hope that this finale will actually stick the landing because after season 3, I was like, I don't really see why they have to keep going. Now that they've started tying the threads together and they've started giving us something that makes it seem like there's intention behind all of these seasons, I'm down for one more to tie it all up.
Yeah,
and finish it all up.
You can tell that when they came up with the idea for this season that they knew where the end is, and and we are steadily making progress.
That's
towards
why
set
the Infinity War Endgame, just also because I just watched those movies, but that's where I feel like it felt like they probably saw that and was like, cool, we'll make season 4 be like the setup of the big finale and have them, or Empire Strikes Back to Return of the Jedi, like have them have like a really sad, defeated ending so that we can have a big climactic win in the final season.
Yeah, we just need to put more brothers in charge of things.
Yeah, I know, right? You got the Russos, you got the Duffers.
Yeah, it's that brotherly love.
Yep.
Chicago. Is that right?
So
City Brotherly. Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know how fresh everybody's memories of the previous seasons are, but
Philly.
Off the dome, if you had to rank this season amongst the others, how would you rank them?
Hard to say. I loved the horror aspects of this season, and I loved that it wasn't a cookie cutter of the other seasons. 3 and 4 have felt very different from 1 and 2 because 1 and 2 very much feel like the same thing. But the conveniences, and I don't remember how convenient the other seasons are, but I feel like even with them trying to decipher the Russian code, it took a little bit. Like, we had to work at it. This one seems like there's less work because we needed the plot to move.
Yeah.
So it's hard to say, but I think that I would probably put it third out of all 4.
So I think that my ranking is 3, 2, 4, and then 1 is number 1.
Okay. Oh, you went
so
bottom up.
reverse order.
Oh, okay.
You said 3, 2, 4, 1.
Yeah.
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 I
think I'm 1, 3, 4, 2. Top down.
So
confusingly.
So worst would be, for me, I think worst would be season 2, then season 3. No. Yeah. Season 2, season 3 and 4 I would say are maybe a tie, and then 1 is definitely is still to me the best season of the show, and probably always will be the best season of the show. It just, like, it was fresh, it was new, everybody was talking about it. It was before the internet was so wrapped up in all this stuff, and it was there was the mystery, and it was cool seeing Winona Ryder back on TV. So yeah,
either way, all of those are firmly in a place where they've all been great seasons of television. Just one is practically a perfect season.
Yeah, and it made me sad finishing it and knowing that we don't have it for a while now. Like,
I know.
Yeah, it was nice to look forward to it on Fridays.
I went to go back to watch Umbrella Academy yesterday, and I scrolled to it, and I was like, oh, there's no Stranger Things tag next to it, and keep watching.
Continue watching,
yeah. I was so sad.
Yeah, I'm considering maybe giving it a week or two
and then starting
binging the whole thing,
yeah,
and seeing it how the story plays out, and if I feel differently about certain things, like about the conveniences or how I feel about those things when I watch it all at once. Because I've rewatched the first 3 seasons a couple of different times, so I think I'll try to rewatch this season all at once at some point. But I think that's all I got to say about Stranger Things.
Yep,
I'm all Stranger Things out.
Talk about next week.
Yeah, let's talk about next week.
All right, cool. So, final cut is going to be us talking about the Todd Brownings. We're going to try to get a list together of nominees that you will be able to vote on for our main discussion. We're talking about the new Jordan Peele movie.
Nuh-uh.
Yep.
Oh, no.
New Jordan Peele movie, Goose Egg.
Nope.
Nope. Yes, which comes out by the time you're hearing this is already out. Probably.
Yep.
And If you haven't seen the trailer for it, then kudos to you.
And continue not to do that.
Oh, and for this month's Patreon commentary track,
Yes.
we wanted to mention this on the episode. July's Patreon commentary track is going to be the 1996 Godzilla film.
98.
I wanted to say 8 too.
98?
We'll say 8.
Sometime in the 90s.
Late 90s.
Late 90s, the Roland Emmerich, Matthew Broderick.
Oh, is it Roland Emmerich?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Makes
Roland
sense.
Emmerich, Matthew Broderick vehicle Godzilla. So if you're not already on Patreon, patreon.com/porcelainpeak, check it out. Get your Umbrella Academy, get your bonus trivia episodes, get your fucking... We're up to I think 21 or 22 commentary tracks. So...
And if
got
you're
a
watching
library.
this on YouTube, which I know some of you are, please subscribe and hit the bell
Yeah.
for
Yeah,
notifications.
share this video to Facebook or wherever, and let other people know that if they want all their horror, sci-fi, and other things content,
Sometimes
it's all right
fantasy.
here.
Yeah.
Drop a like and also comment what your thoughts on Stranger Things were. Try your best not to spoil things for people.
Yeah, we had someone reach out and say you guys should have way more subscribers.
Yep.
Which I thought was a really nice comment.
Oh, nice.
So right on, and I think we should. So do your part, please,
Do your due diligence.
because I don't subscribe.
When you wish upon a star.
That's gonna wrap it up. Thank you so much for joining us for Creature Camp. The regular season will continue next week. I have been Counselor Tone one more time.
I've been Counselor John.
And the real creatures were inside us the whole time.
Aaron Maggie.
No, actually, my sign-off is, I'm fucking done with camp. Oh, wait, no, actually. I'm going to sleepaway camp.
Good luck.
Turns out, I secretly got a dick. Anyway, Internet Darling Anthony.
See you next
See
time.
ya.
Keep it campy. Truth comes out. For exclusive episodes, early access, merch, and to support the show, head over to patreon.com/porcelainpeak.
Thanks to all our patrons for the support, and special thanks to producers Chuck, Rob, Ashley, and Michael.
You can find Porcelain Peak on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and TuneIn.
Wherever you listen, don't forget to rate, review, share, and subscribe so you never miss a thrilling episode.
Special thanks to Roger Jackson for introducing the show, and to Jeff For Real for composing the Porcelain Peak opening and closing song.
All content and episodes are written, produced, designed, and edited by the Porcelain Peak team, consisting of Anthony Perez, John Brasher, and Anthony Silva.
This has been here words for weirdness production.